Fans were eagerly anticipating Pacific Rim 3, with rumors swirling about its development. But Legendary Pictures threw a curveball by pivoting to a prequel series instead. The show has been officially announced, and they've brought in Eric Heiser, the writer behind Arrival and Bird Box. This series will serve as an origin story, likely diving deep into the events leading up to the opening of the interdimensional rift that unleashed the kaiju upon Earth. While both Pacific Rim films treated the rift as an established reality, this prequel will finally explore what really happened when humanity first encountered these towering monsters, and more importantly, how they responded. Interestingly, this isn't the first time Pacific Rim's early years have been explored. Back in 2013, the comic series Tales from Year Zero was released, written by the franchise's original screenwriter, Travis Beam, under Guillermo del Toro's supervision. That comic detailed the immediate aftermath of the kaiju invasion and the desperate race to build the Jaeger program in response. It was divided into multiple storylines, each highlighting key figures in the war against the kaiju. If the upcoming series draws from this material, it could take an anthology-style approach, chronicling different perspectives of those who witnessed history in the making. One of the key characters in Tales from Year Zero was Stacker Pentecost, who fought on the front lines when the first kaiju emerged. Initially, the military tried using conventional weapons, but those proved utterly useless against the behemoths. That crushing realization fueled the urgent development of Jaegers, a concept spearheaded by Dr. Schoenfeld. His arc in the comic explored the technical and political struggles behind creating these enormous neural link war machines, revealing just how high the stakes were from the very beginning. Meanwhile, the story also introduced a young Mako Mori, showing how she survived a kaiju attack that destroyed her city and shaped her into the warrior fans came to love in the first film. It remains to be seen whether Legendary will closely follow the comic's narrative or take creative liberties, but one thing is certain. The prequel has the potential to capture the gritty, desperate tone that made the original Pacific Rim so memorable. After all, fans were disappointed when Uprising abandoned Del Toro's intricate world-building in favor of a more polished, action figure aesthetic. If the series wants to win back the fan base, it needs to reintroduce the high-stakes tension that made the kaiju terrifying and the Jaegers feel like last-ditch lifelines, not superhero machines. And what about a full-length Pacific Rim 3? Well, despite the prequel announcement, insiders claim Legendary isn't done with the main saga just yet. Reports suggest that a third film is indeed in the works, with an official announcement expected by the end of the year. The studio is currently searching for a director and writer, but an early draft of the script has already been approved, possibly with Guillermo del Toro's blessing. Back when the first Pacific Rim was released, Del Toro envisioned at least 4 main films along with spin-offs and prequels, laying out a detailed roadmap for the franchise's future. After Uprising, he reportedly pitched an expansive blueprint to Warner Brothers, outlining an entire cinematic universe with a rich mythology. While the sequel's reception was mixed, its financial performance kept the franchise alive. And now, after years of silence, the momentum for Pacific Rim 3 is picking up again. According to leaks, the third movie will course-correct many of Uprising's missteps, aiming to recapture the original's unique charm. The first Pacific Rim was a technical marvel, blending heavyweight mechs and Lovecraftian monsters with a sense of scale that Hollywood had rarely attempted before. Critics may have taken issue with its straightforward plot, but the film's sheer craftsmanship and world-building cemented it as a cult favorite. A decade later, it still holds up visually and thematically. In contrast, Uprising stripped away much of the original's identity, favoring a cleaner, more generic sci-fi look. Pacific Rim 3 needs to return to its roots, gritty, immersive, and unapologetically massive in scale. Stephen DeKnight, who directed Uprising, has openly admitted that the sequel didn't go in the right direction. Originally, the second film was meant to be just the beginning of an even grander storyline, setting the stage for humanity's all-out war against the kaiju in their own domain. The ending of Uprising hinted at this. The next battle wouldn't be fought on Earth, but in the Antiverse, the home of the kaiju and their masters, the Precursors. If Pacific Rim 3 follows through on this setup, it could take the franchise in a bold, unprecedented direction. The rumored plot suggests that humanity, having studied the wreckage of fallen Jaegers and kaiju remains, has developed next-generation combat machines specifically designed for deep space warfare. These new Jaegers are built to withstand the harsh conditions of the Antiverse, featuring advanced armor, adaptive weaponry, and life support systems for prolonged missions. Under Jake Pentecost's leadership, an elite strike force is assembled from the world's top pilots, scientists, and engineers. Their mission: to enter the Antiverse, locate the precursors, and eliminate the kaiju threat at its source. However, the team soon discovers that the Antiverse isn't just a breeding ground for monsters. It's an entire ecosystem, complete with civilizations that have been subjugated by the kaiju overlords. These oppressed alien races, initially hostile to humanity, could become unexpected allies in the fight against the precursors. The film would explore themes of intergalactic warfare, resistance, and the consequences of humanity taking the battle beyond its own world. The final act could feature an all-out assault on the kaiju stronghold, culminating in a climactic war for the survival of both Earth and countless other civilizations. Guillermo del Toro always envisioned Pacific Rim as a grand saga, and Stephen DeKnight has even likened its potential to Star Wars, with spin-offs and expanded lore waiting to be explored. While Pacific Rim may never reach the pop culture dominance of Star Wars or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it has something those franchises don't: an entirely original world, unburdened by decades of pre-existing canon. That means there's room for reinvention, new stories, and bold creative risks. With the prequel series officially in motion and Pacific Rim 3 gaining traction, it seems like the franchise still has plenty of fight left in it. Now, it all comes down to execution. Will Legendary learn from past mistakes and deliver the Pacific Rim sequel fans have been waiting for? Or will it be another missed opportunity? Either way, one thing's for sure: giant robots and monsters clashing on an epic scale never gets old.